Father, name of the Son, and name of the Holy Spirit. I want to come to you guys today and talk about the importance of why you should look in your past traumas and look in your childhood in the way that you grew up and how it can affect your future intimate partners or your relationship with your intimate partners and with family and friends. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is men and when they lack love and affection from their mother. Right. So men, when we lack affection, love and affection from our mother, we have difficulty expressing emotions. We tend to put these walls up and we tend to not express ourselves so we don't get hurt, right? Another thing we do, we seek validation externally. Whenever you have that mother, you can have a relationship with your mother, but did you have that healthy relationship with your mother? Did you get that love and affection? When you didn't get that love and affection, you tend to find validation in other women, right? That's why you have so many men who tend to cheat or tend to not stay faithful because they're seeking validation externally instead of when they should have that validation from their mother getting loves and kisses, but they didn't get that. So they tend to get it from other women. Another thing men do who lack love and affection from his mother is struggling with trust, right? When your mother, lacked actually loving you as a son, you typically grow this distrust towards other people, towards other women. You tend not to trust them because if you couldn't trust your own mother to love you and have affection for you, how can you trust others, right? Another thing we tend to do, I'm a victim of this, use sex as a primary form of connection, right? So, like I said, when mommy didn't kiss you, hug you, say I love you, or these other things, you tend to go to other things for validation and for confirmation to see if that person loves you. And one thing a lot of men do is use sex. They tend to have sex with lots of women to get that artificial feeling of love and affection that they should have got from their mother, right? So they tend to, have sex with plenty of women just to get that feeling that their mother should have gave them when they were young. So they tend to replace that with sex, right? Another thing we tend to do, we become dependent on our partner emotionally for emotional support. When we're down, we tend to go to our woman for unconditional love. We tend to go for women who are therapists, right? Because when we were younger, our mother didn't give us that. We didn't get love and affection. So we tend to put that on our partners. So then it turns to a relationship where our girlfriends turn into our mothers because we didn't have that growing up, right? The girlfriend tends to give you love and affection that your mother didn't give you. So you tend to seek after it. Then you become dependent on her. If you're sad, if you're mad, you're angry, all these other things, you become dependent on your partner. Now, women, it is very important for you to have a healthy relationship with your father. And at the end of this, toward the end of the video, I'm gonna explain how we can, heal from these things and, what to do. So women who lack love and affection from their fathers, these women are typically emotionally unavailable, right? Because they didn't have anyone to run to emotionally, right? So when you think of when a woman, right, when she gets home from school, work, or anything, whenever she comes home, she's having a bad day or all these other things, she tends to go to daddy's lap. He's like, yeah, come on, tell me everything about it. But when their dad didn't have that, showing love and affection towards them, they tend to be emotionally unavailable. And that's how they do it towards the other men that they're in relationships with. They didn't have daddy to sit in their lap, right? So they tend to be emotionally unavailable. Another thing, parental roles. A lot of women who didn't really get love and affection from the father and didn't have a healthy relationship with the father. Especially women who didn't have fathers in the household, they tend not to know what role the man and the woman, or the mother and the father, is supposed to be. They tend to think that the mother is the father and the mother. They tend to have these masculine traits. They tend to think like, oh yeah, my mother was a provider and she was the head of the house. So she thinks, because it's not her fault, because the way she was raised and what she's seen, she tends to put that on her partner, right? She tends to want to be the leader, always want to be the head of the household, all these other things that are masculine. But because she haven't got that and looked on in earlier years of life, that's all she knows is her mother was the head of the house. Or if you had a situation where the mother and the father was in the house, but the mother never respect the father, you're always going to have that. And then the kid is going to look at that and say, okay, I'm going to do that in my relationship because that's all I know. I'm going to disrespect my husband and talk to him any kind of way because that's all I grew up with. Conflict resolution. It's a big one. Conflict resolution. So, like I said, whenever you got two parents in the household and it's not really loving and affectionate, they tend to pick up traits that's not very good. And one of them is, men and women. But typically I see women that do this. You got conflict resolution where you have a conflict and they don't know how to resolve that conflict in a healthy way. They tend to pick up things as yelling in their partner, walking away from their partner when it comes to resolving conflict. Or the number one thing, not number one thing, but I've seen and experienced, you can get silent treatment because that's something that they grew up with and seen, and they don't know anything else. They don't know how to resolve conflict any other way. That's how they grew up. You can't be mad at them. You just have to love them. Another one, self-esteem, right? When a woman doesn't get that love and affection from her father, she tends to try to get it from other men. Seeking validation like how men are with women. They seek validation from other women. Women seek validation from other men, right? Another thing I notice in, today's society, a lot of women, it can be 30 degrees outside because they haven't got that love and affection from their father. They tend to wear these revealing clothes so they can get that attention and those stares because they lack that growing up, right? They know dang well they cold, but they want that attention. It feeds to them, right? It's like a kid whenever they want candy, like, oh yes, I want some candy. That's how women are whenever they lack love and affection from their father when it comes to seeking validation. They have a low self-esteem, so they tend to give away their bodies. They tend to they're kind of easily, they can be easily manipulated sometimes, but it depends. But a lot of women who have low self-esteem, you can kind of tell because they seek those validations from other men. It can be with revealing clothes. It can be with, going out their way to try to get a compliment from other men. It can be anything. Trust issues. Same thing with women, men who lack love and affection from their mother. They have trust issues. Same thing with women and their fathers. When they don't get that love and affection, they don't get those I love you, I kiss you. They tend to grow this resentment towards their father, and they have that resentment towards other men, and they tend to have these trust issues as if, if my father couldn't love me and show me love and affection, how could you, right? And it's just an on-end cycle. I should have put this for both, but fear of abandonment, right? Like I say, when men and women, when they don't get that I love you, or those kisses as, those other things as love and affection, you like, how do you love me? And then you tend to put that on other partners, like, oh, well, I wasn't loved or I wasn't shown love and affection anyway, so this person is going to leave me. And then you tend to have those thoughts, those negative thoughts of everybody that you're with, because you didn't get that love and affection growing up, you tend to put it towards your other partners, right? You tend to, oh, well, if anything's not going right, you tend to, oh, that person's going to leave me. This and that, because you didn't get that love and affection growing up, right? So, a couple ways we can heal our childhood traumas and really fix our ways so we don't put it on to our next relationship or our future relationship. And number one, I would say, is, have a relationship with God, right? He will fulfill all those holes and those voids that you haven't got growing up. He can fill all those holes, because he has unfailing love, and he just shows you love and affection even when you don't want it. Number two way we can heal from these past childhood traumas is acknowledging it, man. When you hide those childhood traumas, you don't talk about it, and those childhood experiences, when you don't talk about it, it's like a bottle, like, that's just going to bust. When you don't talk about those things, it's like a closed-in bottle that's just bound to break. So, talk to someone, man. Don't be scared to talk to somebody. Go to therapy. Therapy is really good as well. If you don't want to have a relationship with God, you're missing out. But if you don't want to have a relationship with God, fine, go to therapy. Have good role models as well. Good role models is very good. Having those father figures or those mother figures, that's pretty good as well. That will help. But this can really affect us. It can be a generational thing, because when men and women see how their relationship with their mother and father was, they tend to put it on their partners, right? So say if you see, you got a man, he has a mother and a father, but they're not as affectionate or these other things, he can tend to look for that in the next relationship, because that's what he grown up with. That's all he knows. Another thing for women, when they see a woman just always, yelling in their relationship towards the father, then they tend to pick up those things in their relationship. They tend to yell and all this other stuff towards the man. And the woman, whenever they see the wife, she doesn't respect her husband, they tend to do that and have those behavior towards her husband. And it's just it's just the endless cycle, generational thing. You see where I'm coming from, right? And it's just, you tend to attract those partners because that's what you're looking for. When a man, when he didn't have a love and affection and mother, he tends to go for women who are emotionally unavailable, women who aren't really, who doesn't want anything serious. He tends to go for women who just aren't the best for him. Same thing for women. I always wonder why women always go for the guys that treat them dirty, the women that does all these, they go for the men that don't care anything about them, because they find those traits in their father. Their father didn't show them love and affection, so they tend to look for that in other men unconsciously. They don't know that's what they're looking for. That's what they attract, So if you want to be different and change that generational curse, if you want different for your life, if you want a love and affectionate household, if you want to love on your kids and be affectionate towards your kids, this is how you can do it, by noticing what the root is, or the root cause is, and acknowledging it, talking to someone. But the number one thing, follow God, man. I promise you, if you follow God, he can really save you from the generational curse. He can change everything. I promise you. But that's all I got for today, and I pray that you have a good day. Peace.